Very good afternoon, everyone. We are starting with the fourth chapter of legal aspect of business, which is termed or which is named as the Companies Act 1956. So before in an every organization, whenever we say that now you as an MBA student, what we are looking for, we want to pursue a job, we want to get employed somewhere else, and accordingly, based on the consideration, everyone is looking for joining a business or joining a job. Now, when you say that I want to do a job, what do we preferably see? Whether the company is an Indian company or whether it is a multinational company. Now, what does this actually company mean? From where it has come into existence? What is the inception? What is the formulation? Who are the parties? Who are the members? What is the liability? What is the extent of duties, roles, responsibilities? What are the various types, and so on? So before you go to your business perspective, before you start either your job or either you start your business, we need to have a proper understanding about what does a company mean and what are the various factors which get associated for the performance of a company. So definition or meaning of a company is nothing but the group of persons who have come together for some common purpose and who have incorporated themselves into a legal entity in the form of company for that purpose, or who have contributed money for a common purpose. So here now basic first term that comes to your mind or in this particular meaning is the common purpose. So common purpose, now whenever we are dealing with a firm or industry or a company or an association or a firm or the particular organization which has been registered, always they are having two perspectives. That is, either they will be having a profit maximization objective or they will be having wealth maximization objective. So now here in this case, a company is nothing but the group of persons. So here in this case, the company can be just formed by a single person, that is an individual person, or it can be formed by a group of persons also. When group of persons come together and they have a certain common purpose. Now what is that common purpose? Either to obtain or achieve profit, either to maximize the wealth, either by to provide a certain commodity, goods, services to the people, and so on, and who have incorporated themselves. So what does the incorporation mean? That is, you go to the government, you either that is either the state government or the central government, and you register your business with themselves. Now, for example, a particular birth date. Now, we were having a certain birthday of Mr. Bhushan on so and so date. Now, this particular date, what do we identify? We identify this particular date as the our birth date. That is, my date of birth is so and so. Then, accordingly, what do we do? As the individual human being is having their own respective birth dates, in the same way or in the same fashion, whenever you get this certificate from the government, that particular date is considered as the date of incorporation, and that is the date of birth of a respective company. So in this case, we have to identify what is the date of incorporation, and in order to company to get incorporated, it has to get registered with the government, whether it is the state government or the central government, and you have to obtain a proper certificate. So as you have the birth certificate for yourself, in the same way, the company is having certificate of incorporation, which is called as the birth certificate of a company themselves into a legal entity in the form of company. So how does the company gets a legal entity? Because it is registered under an act which has been passed by a parliament. So the Companies Act 1956 was been passed by the parliament, it was been approved, and it was been granted a certain position wherein any firm or any organization, any group of people who are registering their business under this act will be called as an so and so name, and it will be called as a company. So here in this case, you register under the Companies Act of 1956, and accordingly you get the legal entity of that business or firm for that purpose, or who have contributed money for a common purpose. So you are, what you can do, you can contribute your talent, you can contribute your skill, abilities, and so on, or else what you can do, you can contribute the amount of money. So the money that you're contributing for, it is called as in share capital. So, and on the liability side, that is whenever you prepare your balance sheet, on the liability side, we have the first item or the first component, that is the share capital. So based on this particular share capital, whatever the amount that has been brought by the promoters or the owners of the business firm, it is called as a contribution that has been made by the owners of the company, and it is for the common purpose. And what is the common purpose? Either do you want to manufacture something, either you want to produce something, either you want to process something, or you want to earn profit, or you want to expand or increase the wealth of the organization. So in this case, a company is been defined, or it is the meaning. Now, what are the various silent features of a company? So let's look at the features of a company. First feature, it is an incorporated association. So here in this case, what does an incorporated association mean? That is, it is getting a birth, it is getting an identity based on the consideration of an legal entity. So as we, for example, we take birth on a specific date, and based on this consent, we get the certificate of our birth, that is birth certificate, which is being provided by the Gram Panchayat Tahsil Karyalaya and so on, or the particular talati or whichever office whichever you are referring for. So in the same way or in the same fashion, the registrar of companies. Now in case of our birth certificate, we have different association at different level, but in case of company, there is at every district level you have a certain firm, you have a registered government office, and you have to apply to that particular firm or the government office for your certificate. So based on your, if all the compliances have been made accordingly, if all the documentation procedure is been completed, then the registrar of company, that is the legal government entity, issues you a certificate of incorporation, and accordingly the company gets incorporated or the company gets birth of its own. So now here in this case, it is always an association. Now, what is an association? Association means group of people coming together for a common purpose or for a common motive in order to provide certain beneficial to the society. So you want to deliver or you want to benefit to something to a society, and for this consideration you all have come together, and whenever these particular people come together, what they have done, they have got themselves registered with the government or with the entity which is into existence. So if you are getting your firm registered with the government, then accordingly you get a certificate of incorporation, and accordingly the company is called as an registered organization. Separate legal entity. Now here in this case, what we have seen, that is whenever a particular company has been established, always there are shareholders who are been involved. There are various types of the different amount of shareholders. There are different amount of board of directors. There is a board of chairman, board of governing body, and so on, or the different levels of management also, top level management, middle level management, and low level management. And every management level you have different departments, and at every departments you have different heads of the organization. So in this case, now here whenever we see that there are several number of parties who are involved in this particular transaction or in this particular activity, every activity is completely independent of each other. So that is the separate legal entity. Any person whose liability is to a specific personal extent, only that amount is being extended, and the other amount of liability does not get extended or it does not comes into existence. So for example, a separate legal entity, if I have registered a particular firm called as Mrs. Diamond Products, and accordingly Mr. Sanket will be different, Mrs. Diamond Products will be completely different. If I have a particular firm naming of Camlin, and accordingly what you can say that the liability of Sanket is completely different and the liability of Camlin is completely different. So here at every stage, what do we have? We have a separate legal entity. A particular firm getting registered with the business organization or with the government authorities, they are having a separate identity, whereas the different partners to the firm, that is either it is a board of director, either it is a chairman, either it is a departmental level manager or a low level employee or a floor manager, everyone is having a separate legal entity, and accordingly based on their legal entity status, they start converting or conducting the business activities. Limited liability, always the liabilities of the parties to a joint stock company or a Companies Act of 1956 is completely limited to the extent of their share capital. So whatever amount of share capital that you have invested, the concern of losses or the concerns of profit is only applicable to the limited extent only. Now what is that limited extent? To the liability, that is to the contribution that you have made. That is, if your contribution is rupees 10,000, then accordingly your liability will be limited only to rupees 10,000. If your investment or if your liability towards that is the donation towards the company is rupees 10 lakhs, then accordingly as per the terms and the norms of the limited liability, you will get the respective percentage or the shareholding pattern, and accordingly your proportion of the concentration with respect to the participation in the management is also quite limited. So in this case, it is a concern of limited liability, wherein the liability keeps on increasing as the number of participants increases, and the liability keeps on decreasing as the number of parties keeps on decreasing. Next thing we have is the perpetual succession. Perpetual succession is a particular concern or a particular term wherein the major case study that you have at this particular stage or for this particular example is the Tata Group. Perpetual succession, what did the Tata Group do? They have identified in the year of 2008-2009 that within very few years Mr. Ratan Tata is going to retire, and accordingly we need to find an alternative for this chair. So what accordingly what they have done, they have taken a rigorous interview, and based on this consideration, the perpetual succession policy was adopted and it was been implemented. What does it mean? That whatever may be the situation, whatever may be the condition, the party does not die at any point of time, whether it is a party which is registered for the short-term period, long-term period, medium-term period, or whatever it may be. So perpetual succession specifically focuses on whether the business is flourishing or whether it is not flourishing, whether you have earned profit or whether you have not earned profit. you have to see that the company keeps on going, and accordingly, with the concern of either the death, insolvency, or insanity of a particular partner, the business of the firm does not get affected any point of time. Next thing, you have separate property. As we have our individual own property, in the same way, in the same fashion, you have your own different property also. That is, Mr. Sankit will be having different property, and Mr. Kunal will be having a different property. So everyone is having the different property, different perspectives, in which the separate entity of a particular firm can be identified very easily. The separate property also means the acquisition of land, labor, capital, enterprise, and the amount of resources that you are looking for. So all these factors completely focuses on the concept of locality that you are looking for, and accordingly what local people you are trying to convince with or trying to invest into your business organizations. Transferability of shares. So here in this case of an D Vaishnav, the D Vaishnav category, the transferability of shares is a particular consideration wherein the shares of a particular company or the shares of a particular investor are freely transferable from one person to another person. That is, you have availed a loan facility of a, for example, of rupees 20 lakhs, and you are not able to pay that particular sum of money or that particular amount. And here in this case, you will be called as a transferability of shares. So the shares becomes freely transferable, wherein if a party is willing to purchase, he can purchase it at any point of time. If a party is willing to sell, he can sell the proceedings at any point of time. So here in this case, it is always having a major feature or an advantage with respect to how the transfers or how the property in the firm can be transferred from one person to another person. Next thing we have is the concept of common seal. Common seal usually, now as an individual human being, what do we do? Whenever we are accepting or whenever we are preparing any document, we sign that particular document very specifically, and accordingly the document gets an authentication. So here in the same case or in the same fashion, what do you have? If you are providing any legal document to a certain person, and accordingly you want to identify its threat or potential or legal identity, then you can say that you can use the common seal of a particular company, and accordingly it can ruin the business or it can flourish the business. So common seal, it is just acting as a signature of the managing director or the chairman of the particular firm, and accordingly the common seal acts as a structure of understanding between the general people and the mass public. Capacity to sue and to be sued. So here in this case, if a particular situation has been arised, that a particular capacity to sue has been arised, that is, a particular person has committed a certain murder, and based on that particular murder, what happened, the company is getting liable or company is getting agreeable to these terms, norms, and conditions. So here in this case, what do? We have to identify about what is the termination of the people in the market scenario. So in the market scenario, whether the company is flourishing or not flourishing, how does this company have its signature, and so on. Capacity to sue and being sued. So a company can sue its own directors, the company can sue its other members or other participants, and accordingly the company also can be sued by some other people. So here simultaneously, that is, the company is having a right to be sued by itself also, and it can be, the company can be sued by some other people also. So here in this case, we have a certain silent feature in which you have seen a certain example between Reliance Communication and Reliance Industries or State of Maharashtra. What they have done at some place or some point of time, they have spared Mr. Mukesh Ambani or any of the party who is applicable to the Reliance Communication or Reliance Industries Limited, and accordingly you can sue that particular person for any of the amount that has been recovery or which is applicable for due. So a notice can be given to a respective person who is the owner of that particular firm, or to the respective company also, wherein all the parties, members of board of directors or governors can look into those concern and accordingly solve the issue or resolve the issue accordingly. And lastly, separate management. Always the management is very separate, and accordingly, as and when the need arises, the management decision or management discretionary powers can be used in order to make a proper balance in the economy. So separate management, as you have a certain consideration of creating a management environment for healthy human beings. So here in this case, if you want to see healthy human beings, then accordingly what do we have to see? We have to identify about there is a proper work-life balance that has been maintained in the company, and the management is always separate as and when it is been required. So managers must also not torture the people very harshly, and accordingly only as much as is affordable for them, only that activity or task must be taken from them. So these are the various features of the company, which are incorporated association, separate legal entity, unity, universal liability, peer-to-peer presentation, transferability of shares, common seal, capacity to sue and sue being sued, and lastly the separate management. Okay, any difficulty at this stage in understanding any point? If you have any difficulty, you can please unmute yourself and ask me the questions. Okay, no questions. Moving further, different types of companies that are into existence. So different types of companies are public company, private, producer, deemed public, limited, unlimited, 133, holding subsidiary in government, and lastly the foreign company. So these are the various different types of companies that are into existence, and hence the explanation can be provided in, or it can be looked in further slides. So classification, now classification of companies on the basis of, as per the terminology that has been provided in your syllabus, the basic classification is under 4 categories, that is classification on the basis of incorporation, on the basis of liability, on the basis of members, on the basis of control, and on the basis of ownership. First thing, chartered company, on the basis of ownership. Chartered company is that particular company wherein it gives you certain explanation with respect to how a particular firm can be registered, what are the various activities that the firm can undertake, and what is the status quo of the firm or the business organization in the market economy. So that is the concept of chartered economy. Statutory company. Now, statutory company is a particular company which has been registered under a specific act or rule or governing of that particular parliament, or a particular act that has been specifically passed, and it is having a separate legal entity with respect to a concern of statute. So any company registered under the statute act of a particular firm or a particular activity, then that particular activity is called a statutory activity or a statutory firm. Registered firm, any firm which has been registered in the, either in the State Bank of India or the West Bank of India or Tamil Nadu National Bank, then here in this case the company can be called as an either chartered, statutory, or the registered company. Liability, now based on the liability also, the liability of the firm either increases or either decreases. So 3 types of liabilities we have, either liability is a limited liability party, or unlimited liability guarantee party, or lastly it may be a guaranteed party contract. So here in this case, classification on the basis of limited liability. So whatever is the liability of a particular trader, if the particular contract is being signed on this consideration or on these particular norms, and here what we can say that a particular liability is getting disappeared. How does it get disappeared? Because over a period of time, there is whenever there is a limited liability, automatically the government discloses the amount of quantity that has been required, and accordingly the liabilities or that is also incurred with person to person. So here in case we have to see or we have to identify about what are the various laws that are ruling or that are into existence, and whether they are favorable or whether they are not favorable. Guarantee, unlimited company. Unlimited company are those different types of companies wherein there are different types of vendors and purchase and sellers into the market. So here your liability is always unlimited, and you cannot predict or you cannot identify about what will be the sales in the market. So for identifying the sales in the market, we have to understand, or we have to come into concept of the unlimited liability guarantee, and as and when the liability increases, so accordingly the liability of a particular person keeps on increasing. And lastly, the guarantee contract. So guarantee contract is a particular concern wherein after several phases or point of time, the government has to look for a certain constitution with respect to the pricing policy, and accordingly hence the guarantee contract comes into existence. So guarantee contract can be in terms of either providing the good delivery of goods, receiving the payment, paying back to the wholesaler, retailer, supplier, and so on. So in this way, the different classification of markets on the basis of liability can be made. Next thing we have on the basis of members. So in India, on the basis of members, we have the major 4 categories. It is on the one. So that is a limited, unlimited, and guarantee. Based on the number of members, the private limited company and a public limited company. Private limited company wherein there are a few amount of restrictions and there are few amount of relaxation. But in case of a member company with a public limited liability, or the general liability, then here in this case the liability is very limited. The liability has to be bear by between all the people, and accordingly the cost of saving, cost of expenditure, cost of goods and services, everything continuously starts increasing or developing day by day. So here the two types of companies we have seen is the holding company and the subsidiary company. Next thing is the control on management. So control on management is next we have is the concept of controlling of with respect to the holding company and the subsidiary company. Holding company is that particular company wherein at a several stage of point of time, whenever you acquire a certain amount of profit of that particular business, then here either one company is ruling the business activity and the second one is just watching. So for this watching purpose, what does this railway organization do? They hire a particular person, they collect the amount of, or they collect the data from me and so that company is called as an holding company or an subsidiary company. Holding company where the maximum amount of percentage holding is more than 60 hours. Government and subsidiary. Subsidiary, a particular company having less amount of shareholding pattern but more an amount of shareholding pattern, then that particular company is called as an format company. Next we have is the concept on the basis of ownership. On the basis of ownership, there are two types of company, that is classification, a government company and a non-government organization. Government organization is a concern wherein over a period of time, if it get registered with the central government or if it get registered with the state government, then here in this case accordingly we can call that particular company as a government company, which specifically deals in the activities or the trade contracts which have been provided by the government. And lastly, non-government company. Non-government company means any company which is not into existence and which may come into existence over a period of time. Then that particular company is called as an government company or a non-government company. Okay, any difficulty at this stage for anyone?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll move further. Now looking with the types of companies in detail. First thing, public company. A company which is not a private company is called as a public company. So actual definition given by the law. So here, whenever you go to refer the law book of 2D, that is section 2D Mahatma, it specifically concerns with the consideration about what is the meaning of a particular currency or what is the meaning of a public company. So anything which is not private is called as a public company. So here, if at any stage you feel that something private is going on, something hasty is going on, then that particular company does not seem to be a government company for you. But if a particular company gives you an assurance that yes, the activities have been in coordination with the government and accordingly the necessary approvals or the permissions has been taken, then here in this case the company is called as a public company. Second thing is the major differentiation is the private company. The private companies are more than lakhs of private companies in India, and accordingly they also have a right to register. The right to register under the Companies Act of 1956 is a consideration wherein exact right number of members to transfer your shares. So initially what you have to do, you have to share, you have to identify about what is the right of a particular product in the corporate DB environment and how the transactions can be handled by one single person, by several departments or several persons into existence. Number of members is 50 and does not include emperor other than members and attachment. So here in this case, what is the number of restricted visitors? So number of visitor requirement is only 50, and being the lockdown COVID situation, what does the government has done? The government has restricted certain bans on the consideration of the or the decoration of the food, clothing, material, and so on. So all these activities have been curtailed down, it has been reduced down, and accordingly here we can see or we can identify about how the company is benefiting the general economy. Next thing is then we have that is profit inhibits prohibits an invitation to public to subscribe for the any share or division. So always what do? You provide a profit advertisement in a particular newspaper, and based on those newspaper you identify about prohibits an investment to public to subscribe for any share or investment. So if you feel that you want to purchase the share of wheat, you can purchase the share of wheat. If you want jawar, if you want bajra, if you want any of the different types of commodity, then here based on the constitution of based on the consideration of the joint ownership and several ownerships, the people of the consideration of the country, if the registration of the MRA gets discharged. And lastly, if anything is violated, then case may be case may be a private proposing company matter. So if any case, if any court case or litigation is pending in the court, then accordingly the respective district court or the JMFC court can order you the concept, the process of either producing the application, and based on this application we have to see about how the whether the rules have been nominated or not, violated or. Now, privilege and exemptions of private limited companies. So what are the various special privileges and what are the various benefits with respect to a private limited company? Minimum number is 2 for public or members. So for establishing a particular company, what do you have to do? You have to see, or we have to identify about how many number of lectures are there into it. So first thing, the number of lectures may differ from person to person. That is, on one day it may be different, on the number of others days it may be different. So number of members, number of participants, number of groups that you are forming for in a company, whatever departments that you are making for, it is completely changing as and when the need is required. So here in case of private limited company, it is only 2, whereas in case of public limited company, it is 7. May issue share capital to any kind with and without such voting rights. So here in this case, the voting rights of a person keeps on differing, keeps on changing from person to person as and when the need arises. So whenever the need arises, the number of parties can increase, the shareholding line or the share capital voting rights can increase. So any members can be given the voting rights, or if you feel that certain members, for them the voting right is not to be given, then accordingly you cannot give or you can take back that voting right. May allot shares or debentures without issuing a prospectus or delivery to register. So a privately limited company does not need not to issue a certain prospectus, and accordingly hence they can start the business immediately and collect the amount of general public. These are the all theoretical points. You can refer it later. And next slide we have is the concept of differentiation between the public limited company and the private limited company. We'll deal with this slide tomorrow. Chalo. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we conclude the lecture here.